Welcome, traveler. You found third shift HFY. The story begins now.
The Spiral Assembly's great days shimmered with 1,000 colors, each tiered seat holding a delegate who believed history would always arrange itself around their will. Bells tolled once, twice, and then the chamber's ambient hum died as Yovath Oren rose from the center rostrum, ceremonial cuffs pale against his dark formal robes.
Colleagues, we have received a communique from Earth.
A dozen frills lifted, ridges fluttered, whispered currents rippled the gallery. Earth meant arguments and audits, long questions at short meetings, a constant insistence on long-term consequences. Some smirked. One or two, those who remembered the last time a galaxy forgot gratitude, did not. On the lower tier, Valar Drass stood with a slate tucked under one arm, posture crisp, eyes hollow from a life of duty.
Yes, Council Prime. It's brief.
He tapped the slate. A single line appeared on the vaulted wall. 15 simple words. The Human Federation respectfully withdraws from Council affairs. We wish you prosperity and peace. Silence. Then, griddle laughter from the far arc of seats.
At last, no more procedural sermons.
Efficiency returns.
On the water-veiled tier, Cora leaned toward her speaking tube, translucent fins folding close with unease.
Valar, date stamp.
3 standard days ago.
A stir, then outright annoyance.
Then their absence is already functional. Let us proceed without them.
Administrator Drass, why the delay?
Valar didn't answer. Not directly. Because the answer was smaller and uglier than the room. Because he'd seen the sender Ambassador Cho, polite to a fault, and assumed it was another cooperation memo. Because the message looked like nothing. Because the absence of complaint felt like relief. He replayed it anyway, once, in his office, the text sliding by like a stone across a lake. He should have heard the silence that followed. He didn't. Now the words hung over them like frost. Kirel, 2 tiers up among the staff benches, hugged a stack of reports to her chest. Young by her people's standards, barely a century past adolescence, she was the one who counted ships and schedules, the one who noticed when a pattern's heartbeat skipped. She raised a hand.
Council Prime, permission to add context.
Granted.
The wall shifted. Numbers unfurled. Dock permits, cargo lanes, relief convoy rosters.
17 major stations, no human arrivals in 14 days. 47 diplomatic posts, vacated. Trade vessels absent from all council corridors.
The room tensed.
Absences happen. Reroute.
They are not absences. They are patterns. Empty colonies, powered, maintained, but unoccupied. Systems locked behind courtesy messages. Human networks now reply with polite refusals.
Valar's slate pinged in his paw, a belated tick of guilt. He'd archived 3 notices from port authorities as non-urgent. He stared at his hands, thick-scaled fingers suddenly clumsy.
They said prosperity and peace. That is not a threat. It is a benediction and a farewell.
Let them go. We'll move cargo faster without audits.
Administrator Drass, convene senior logistics and diplomatic corps at once. If this is coordinated.
A side door slid open, and a courier hurried to Valar with fresh flashes. He skimmed the headers, his composure cracked.
Updates. Haven Station abandoned without damage. Corvane Prime industrial faults compounding. Human overseers departed. Mediator assignments void. Real Vega talks suspended indefinitely.
The chamber began to feel too small.
Council, the timing is not random. The departures cluster within a 30-hour envelope across 8 sectors. They planned it, over years.
If this is their attempt at leverage?
No. If it were leverage, they'd break things. They haven't broken anything. They simply stopped holding it together.
That line went through them like cold iron. Across the tiers, 100 old irritations melted into a single new feeling. The degraded whine of a stabilizer about to fail.
Hull Earth. Valar obeyed. The assembly watched the wall breathe, waiting for the familiar human seal, the gentle-voiced functionary who always apologized for delays that weren't their fault. A neutral glyph appeared, bright and simple.
The Human Federation is not accepting calls at this time. We thank you for your interest. A heartbeat, too. The glyph dissolved.
Rude.
Now, final.
Valar turned his slate face down, as if the device might accuse him. He saw, at last, that what he'd archived as non-urgent had been the first beads of a necklace tightening around all their throats.
I treated it like a misfiled memo. Then we will treat the next breath correctly.
He straightened, voice carrying to every rung of the assembly.
Emergency convocation in 6 hours. Logistics, agriculture, Medicaid, cybernetics, diplomatic corps. We will assess all dependencies.
Carell glanced down at the simple lines still ghosting the wall. Prosperity, peace. She heard in those 2 words the quietest declaration of power she had ever known. We don't need you to be safe. We hope you won't need us either. Learn.
They left without a sound.
The bells tolled again, thin as the first crack in glass. The reports came quietly at first, just static on minor traffic lanes. A missed shipment here, a docking delay there. Most dismissed them, but Curiel, the youngest analyst in the Spiral Assembly's entire staff, lived inside the numbers. She saw the heartbeat of the galaxy skip. She sat in a dim archive hall, screens rippling around her in spirals of light. Tentacles flexed as she pulled threads together. Trade permits, customs filings, departure stamps. A rhythm that should have been endless was hollowing out.
17 major stations, no human arrivals. 47 embassies, vacated. Trade fleets, absent from every corridor.
She carried the findings into Director Valar Drass's office. He was tired, scaled fingers drumming his desk, trying not to believe the words.
They cannot vanish overnight.
They did not vanish. They left. Together. Every departure clusters inside a 30-hour window.
Her crest flushed pale as she expanded the files. Empty colonies, not destroyed. Power systems humming. Gardens still tended by drones. Streets swept clean. Entire cities intact, but not a single human soul. One image froze the assembly when she projected it later. Belmora Colony. Towers gleaming under twin suns. Fountains burbling. Children's toys scattered in a park. No violence, no decay. Just absence. Cora, the aquatic delegate, pressed her palms to the glass of her speaking tube. Fins trembling, voice almost a whisper.
They left us their shells, the bodies of worlds, still breathing, but no hearts.
Sector, the Draconian, growled, voice thick with scorn.
Good riddance. Their questions slowed us. Now we are free.
But no one laughed with him this time. The images lingered too long on the wall. Lit windows, powered halls, silent doors. A galaxy full of stage sets, the actors gone mid-play.
This was not panic. It was not exile. It was choreography. They planned this for years.
A murmur swept the chamber. Not fear of humans attacking, but fear of what it meant when they simply stopped holding everything together. Yelvath Orin leaned on the rostrum, voice heavier than before.
Begin a full census. Every dependency, every system touched by their hands. We will find the measure of what we have lost.
The counselors nodded, but none could shake the hollow truth. Humanity had left without burning bridges, without cutting ties, without a sound, and somehow, that silence was louder than war. 6 weeks after the message was ignored, Corvane Prime shuddered. The planet's factories, once roaring with precision, faltered. Conveyors stuttered. Arms twitched mid-cycle. Engines that should have purred slipped into chaos. Entire production lines stopped. Half-built starship drives lying cold on their scaffolds. The Va Corps, owner of the largest manufactories on the planet, stormed across a catwalk, 4 arms gesturing furiously at the chaos below.
Get me Mino of Varus. Tell him I want answers now.
His aide hesitated, crest plates twitching in embarrassment.
Sir, Engineer Avarice left, with the others.
The Var froze, chest heaving, before snapping back with denial.
Then his replacement. Anyone who knows his cursed systems.
There is no one. He never trained a successor. He said the manuals were enough.
They weren't. The Var slumped into Minno's old office days later, surrounded by silent machines that should have sung with power. Dust hadn't had time to gather. Everything gleamed as if waiting. On the desk, a hollow projector blinked with a message. Minnow Avarice appeared, his human face weary but kind.
If you're watching this, it means I'm gone, and the systems are failing. I built them to last, but everything needs care eventually. I left manuals, yes, But the real key is cooperation. They will only open for those who understand that word, not just type it. Machines, like people, respond best when treated as partners, not slaves.
Devar tried the password. Failed. Tried again. Dozens of variations. All rejected. In frustration, he slammed his fist on the desk.
Machines are tools, nothing more.
But when the systems flickered with errors, when production slowed to a crawl, he felt something he hadn't in decades. Helplessness. Weeks later, he returned, pride broken, workers staring at him with hollow eyes. He sat before the console and whispered, almost like a prayer.
Please, I know I never listened. I took credit for your work, but my people need these jobs. The galaxy needs these ships. Help me. Help them.
The screen blinked. A soft chime answered. Manuals appeared, pages upon pages. Not because he had cracked a code, but because at last he'd spoken with humility instead of command. And yet, he was only one man. His knowledge shallow, his arrogance long-fed. The manuals were oceans, and he was a child with a cup. Across the galaxy, factories failed the same way. Systems humans had woven together were unraveling, and without them, no one could thread the pieces back. For decades, the Real and Vega systems had bickered over the same asteroid fields. Rich in ores, vital to survival, poisoned by pride. The disputes had always teetered near violence, but a calm human voice had held them back. That voice was gone. The chamber of the Spiral Assembly watched feeds from the border as fleets deployed. Kyriel stood pale under the light of the holomap, her tentacles curling tight.
Ambassador Haya Jin's last report warned us. She wrote that without compromise, this conflict would escalate within 6 months. It has been 5.
The map pulsed with red and blue flares, warships moving like teeth toward each other. General Zarkor of the Ryle, a towering reptilian warlord, stood before his council, armor gleaming.
They call us unreasonable. We call it survival. If they will not yield, then we take what we must. Strength decides. Across the void, General Morvek of Vega, crystalline frame refracting harsh light, stared at the lopsided numbers. His fleet was outnumbered 3-1.
Without mediation, without a third path, we will be slaughtered. But surrender is worse. On the Spiral Assembly floor, Cora pressed her fins against the glass, voice heavy.
Send mediators now. Send anyone. If they fire, there is no return.
Sektar only curled his claws, dismissive.
Let them settle it with honor. That is the natural way.
The feeds flared, engines ignited, weapons charged. The first shots lanced across the belt. Asterisks shattered, ships broke like glass. 6 hours later, 200,000 lives were gone. In the resource field, the prize itself was reduced to rubble. In the assembly chamber, casualty lists scrolled across the wall. The delegates sat in stunned silence. Their earlier smirks burned away.
Haya Jin gave us the path. We did not walk it. And now the cost is written in blood.
Kirel whispered, voice shaking.
One human could have stopped this. One voice. Now we cannot count the silence.
The chamber lights dimmed, as if ashamed. The expedition ship cut through the dark, slipping past the faint blue haze of Earth's orbital shell. No weapons fired, no warnings issued. The defenses that had once bristled like fangs were silent, powered but idle, as if waiting for orders that would never come. Velcran Dor, warrior-turned-envoy, stood on the bridge. His scarred hands rested on the railing, his voice low.
No guns, no threats, just silence.
The landing thrusters groaned as the shuttle descended through thick clouds. Earth stretched below, vast oceans glimmering, green continents unscarred, cities gleaming under sunlight. From orbit, it looked vibrant, alive. But when they touched down in New Geneva, the capital of the Human Federation, the truth pressed in. The streets were clean, lights burned in windows, parks rustled with automated care. Every machine hummed in perfect condition, but not a single human walked the boulevards. Velskran led his team into the council hall. The air smelled faintly of ozone and polish. Desks were neat, paper stacked, systems online. It looked as though the humans had just stepped out for a meeting. On the central dais, a single message glowed. Velskran approached, his armor creaking, the words reflecting in his eyes. To whoever finds this, we have not been destroyed. We have not been conquered. We have simply moved on. We spent 2 centuries trying to build something better with you. Someday, perhaps, you will be ready to try again. When that day comes, you will know how to find us. Prime Minister Chan Wu. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Age shifted uneasily, their ridges flattening, their frills twitching, their breaths shallow. Velcran alone spoke, his voice hollow.
They left the heart of their world beating, but not for us.
He turned slowly, gaze sweeping the perfect emptiness.
They weren't forced out. They weren't hiding. They chose to leave us behind.
Back on the ship, as the engines roared to life, Velcran looked down at the blue planet shrinking below. It was not abandoned, it was preserved, and that preservation terrified him more than fire ever could. 6 months after the message sat unread, the galaxy trembled. Reports flooded the spiral assembly. Factories failing on Corvane, crops dying on Deer 7, fleets bleeding in endless border wars. Everywhere, the threads humans had woven unraveled. Yelvoth Orn sat in his high chamber, pale light washing over his face. His robes hung heavy, shoulders bowed. He had presided over centuries of disputes, but never had silence weighed more than war. Before him, the counselors argued.
They need us as much as we need them. They will return once they realize it.
No, they will not. We needed them, and we wasted them.
Hurel stood at the edge of the dais, reports trembling in her hands.
47 colonies, abandoned. 63 stations, sealed. 17 agricultural worlds reporting famine. Entire medical archives locked. And yet, every system still functions. They left their machines alive. They only denied us the keys.
The chamber buzzed. Not denial now, but fear. Yelvath rose slowly, his voice worn, his authority cracked.
Then it is true. The Federation did not collapse. It transcended us. They prepared for decades while we laughed at their questions, mocked their patience. And when they left without fire, without fury, without a sound.
He looked across the tiers of the spiral assembly, eyes dim with realization.
Perhaps we were the ones who needed them for protection, for wisdom, for balance, and they were the ones who needed nothing from us at all.
The delegates fell into silence. For the first time in millennia, the assembly felt small, fragile, dependent. Hurel whispered, her voice almost breaking.
They did not abandon us. They graduated us. And we are failing the test.
The words ring louder than any vote, louder than any war. And outside, the stars burned on, indifferent. 18 months after humanity's quiet exodus, the Spiral Assembly hired its last hope, Krillin Voss, a Vorak tracker. His species had evolved on a world where prey could turn invisible, and so they learned to see what others missed, faint traces, hidden patterns, whispers in the void. Krillin followed those whispers to the edge of known space, to a region the maps named only as the Silent Reaches. Here, stars hung farther apart, worlds lay cold and barren, and no species had ever stayed. Too poor, too empty, too quiet, which made it perfect. His ship drifted toward coordinates buried in human archaeological surveys. And there it was, a station, vast and gleaming, suspended against the dark like a jewel. Its design was unmistakably human, but decades, no, centuries ahead of anything the Council had ever seen. As his vessel approached, a message flashed on his console. Welcome, Krillin Voss. We have been expecting you. He had not sent his name. He had not announced his mission. Docking clamps seized his ship with gentle precision. The airlock hissed open. Inside, gardens twisted in impossible geometries. Machines flowed like water, and voices, human voices, carried laughter through the halls. A woman stepped forward, her posture calm, her eyes steady. He recognized her from old files. Dr. Yunji, once a diplomat of interspecies psychology. She looked unchanged, but different, more certain, more resolute.
We never hid. We watched. We waited. And we built something better.
Krillin's throat tightened, words rasping out. The Council, they're collapsing without you. Yunji tilted her head, almost kindly.
Then perhaps they will finally learn. We spent 2 centuries trying to teach them cooperation, foresight, balance. They wanted solutions, not understanding. So we stepped away. Growth cannot happen when another hand always catches you.
She led him to an observation deck. Beyond, stars unfamiliar to him, burned in tight constellations. New colonies glittering with life. Humanity had not vanished. Humanity had gone ahead.
When the Council learns to listen instead of rule, when they are ready to build as equals, then we will return. Until then, we will watch.
Krillane pressed his hand to the glass, staring at the impossible horizon of light. For the first time in his long career, he did not feel like the hunter. He felt like the student, and behind him, the humans smiled.